another Moment in Time with Taylor. This is the Femme Yoga Morning Show. A little disclaimer, I'm feeling a little blah today, so I don't have as much energy as I normally have, but I thought that this would help to re-energize me by playing this trivia game. Hello, Eggbot. Hey, Chris! Hello! You got parts of my logo done. That makes me happy. I had kind of a blah morning, so that cheered me up seeing that on my Instagram this morning. Hey, Tamisha. Hey, Danique. Good morning, Chris. Hey, Tracy. Okay, so Tinker. I wonder if I can pull up just the heart monitor on here. Can I do that? No. Yes? No. Okay. Well, in that case, I'm just going to do what I normally do. Good morning. Oh, hey, thanks for inviting your followers. You guys are going to be using this book, so it's definitely going to... Well, I was going to say that this is going to be easier for Americans, but honestly, I'm going to read the paragraph first, and then I'm going to ask a question about the paragraph that I read. Awesome, Chris! Oh my gosh, that's so exciting. That makes me feel a lot better. All right. Comments. Cool. So there's all your guys' comments on Egg Drop. If anyone ever wants to know what Egg Drop is, that's what it is. It's a website, eggdrop.com. There's no O in drop. So the prize for today's trivia game is going to be this body butter. This is made by Jerkface for Real. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that. And his username on Periscope is in the title of the broadcast. So you can win this. And this is a trivia game where I give you all the answers first. I'm going to read a paragraph out of this book, and then I'm going to ask a question about the paragraph that I read. And the first person to answer it correctly gets a point. And we are just going to play right up until 9:30. So it's 8:38, so let's just get started. I don't care how many people are in here. We're doing our own thing today. Sorry, I had to let the cat out. Okay. Does anyone have any questions before we begin? Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, so this part of this chapter is called The Theory of the Living Constitution. One way that the immense amount of federal regulatory agencies, no, my cat did not come back, Chris, but thank you for asking, and administration was justified during the Progressive Era was the theory of the living Constitution. This theory sets out the idea that the Constitution has to be read and interpreted based on current developments and changes in societal conditions. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that. According to David Diedemann, this theory purports that, quote, the federal Constitution means whatever it ought to mean at a given time. It necessarily follows from this that it will not mean the same thing at different times. End quote. Hey, look, it's Jerkface. Everybody follow Jerkface. He's the one who made this body butter that we're giving away today. My cat already wants to come back inside. So hang on, I'll ask the question after I let him back in. Wasn't as nice out there as he was hoping for, I guess. All right, so. I don't even know what to ask about this. How about, okay. During what era was the theory of the living Constitution introduced? During what era of American history? And it was in the title. I mean, in the paragraph. Hey, Dinesh, good morning. Good morning. In what era was the living Constitution introduced? The idea of the living Constitution. A changing Constitution. No one? Who wrote that book? It's Judge Andrew Napolitano. You got back on Periscope. I know, that's kind of weird that happened to you. It's funky. All right, I'll do 10 seconds then. I guess nobody caught that part. Era of our Lord and Savior Donald Trump. Nope, it wasn't today's era. The guy Fox News kicked off. Bill O'Reilly? Bill O'Reilly era? I'm not sure what you mean. Bill O'Riles? Napolitano? Oh, this guy used to work at Fox. I don't know if he got kicked off, but he's not that Bill O'Reilly thing. That's not what this is about. I don't know if he still works there or not. Maybe he got kicked off. I don't know. I don't know the story behind his career history. But the answer was the Progressive Era. It was the Progressive Era. And just so you know, this whole book is written about the Progressive Era. Yeah, he got kicked for making up news. Judge Andrew Napolitano? All right, well, I guess I'll have to look at that. He is a judge. He's a federal judge. So if he was making up things, I would think he wouldn't be a judge anymore, but maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, my husband just said that he thinks you're talking about Bill O'Reilly. Hey, Lynette, how are you? Hi, One Cubans. Hi, Smithers David. He is a joke. Taylor, what time is it there? It's that's a good point though. We are only going till 9:30, so let's keep going. It's 8:41. So this theory was developed during the Progressive Era. One of the most influential proponents of the living constitution theory was President Woodrow Wilson. Oh, the guy. Okay, yeah, hang on. Let me just finish reading this. In his book, The New Freedom, Wilson set out the theory that the Constitution should be interpreted in light of changing times and the theory of Darwinism. What was the name of Woodrow Wilson's book? What was the name of Woodrow Wilson's book? I don't even know the answer. I just read it myself. Okay. 3 words. First word, the. You love me? Okay. Okay. It was called The New Freedom. The New Freedom. Yeah, the blank, exactly. The New Freedom. So that they're done away with the old freedom. Now it's the new freedom, where the Constitution can be interpreted differently over time. He wrote, and I was talking about Woodrow Wilson, he wrote, quote, "All that progressives ask or desire is permission. In an era when development, let me use quotes. In an era when development, I don't know what this means, evolution is the scientific word, to interpret the Constitution according to the Darwinian principle." I know, I see that. This theory, I'm excited too, Dinesh. This theory also allowed him to justify circumventing the traditional separation of powers in order to allow the government to become more responsive to the progressive agenda. Okay. Whose principle of evolution did Woodrow think the Constitution should be interpreted according to? Whose theory of evolution? Hello, I'm from America. Yeah! Let's do full name. Full name, you guys. Full name. Full name. We know his first name, right? I guess it wasn't really in the chapter, so I'll have to give it to Tracy if no one knows his first name. Chuck. All right, I'll give that one to Jerkface. Charles Darwin. I'm all sniffly, too. You knew that? Good. That's good. It's very good. I like how somebody said Chuck. Chuck Darwin. All right, Jerkface, you're on the board for your own body butter. Good work. All right, this is a long chapter, so get ready. Get your listening ears on. Chuck D. This theory gave rise to the legal justification for federal agencies. Oh, interesting. Okay, this theory gave rise to the legal justification for federal agencies, something that was not accounted for in the Constitution. Theodore Roosevelt and Woodrow Wilson knew what they wanted to accomplish and found ways around Congress and the Constitution. They utilized this theory in order to justify their support of federal agencies, regulations, antitrust laws, and labor reform. Much of the progressive platform was recognized as unconstitutional during this time, yet Wilson and Roosevelt were able to manipulate Congress and the public by destroying traditional notions of constitutionality in order to change with the times. Well, you couldn't before, but now there's the idea of the living constitution, which is what we're talking about. Yes, it's manipulative. Okay, so full names, and you can do these on two separate lines. So I'm going to give 2 points for this one. What are the two presidents that we're reading about right now? Their full names. They were both in that. Their full names were both in that paragraph. So you can do one and then the other, and then we'll see who gets the point. So 2 people could get 1 point for this. Woodrow Wilson. So Periscope Heckle gets 1. Not Franklin Roosevelt. That was his cousin. The Constitution's been amended many times. Not Thomas Jefferson. Theodore Roosevelt. Wow, Periscope Heckle got both of them. Look at you. Awesome. 2 points for Periscope Heckle. Are you going to heckle us? Don't heckle us. All right, last paragraph of this little chunk on the living constitution. All right, you take care too. I will see you at 3:30 today. All right. This part, last paragraph. This legacy can be seen in modern day jurisprudence, as vast amounts of legislation today are passed by finding a way around the Constitution. For example, Congress has attempted to use the Commerce Clause to justify laws regarding domestic violence and personal use of medical marijuana, and its spending power to regulate speed limits and alcohol use. Okay, here comes the question. Congress attempts to use the Commerce Clause to justify laws regarding what? And personal use of medical marijuana, and its spending power to regulate speed limits and alcohol use. So do you remember the one crime that I didn't list there the second time? 2 words. I feel like typically more often women are victims of this. Yes, you were paying attention. Look at you. AccuLives, yes, domestic violence. Or AccuLives. 1 point for you. Federal funding. Yeah, so federal agencies apparently were not a thing before this. All right, so now this next part here is called giving the government total control. During the Progressive Era, in addition to regulating food and drugs through the Meat Inspection Act and the Pure Food and Drug Act, which I already read about before this, the federal government gained control over the economy through countless federal regulations. These were promulgated not by Congress, but by the administrative agencies, like the FDA and the FTC, that Congress established. Okay, so I will take initials, and you can do these on 2 separate lines. I'll give 2 points for this again. Who were the 2 federal regulatory agencies, or administrative agencies that we just covered there, that gave the government control over the economy through federal regulations? Jews run the world, Zionists. You're not the only one who thinks that. FDA is one of them, yeah, FDA. Does anyone remember the other one? Soul 24 gets 1 point for saying FDA. Not USDA. Three words. Last word is commission. Something, something, commission. Almost. No, it's Federal Trade Commission. FTC. Federal Trade Commission. Fannie Mae. Okay, next paragraph. Let me just see how long this is. Oh, yeah. In 1903, under President Theodore Roosevelt, the Department of Commerce and Labor was created. This department contained a Bureau of Corporations, which would investigate private corporations. Roosevelt stated, "I have always believed that it would be necessary to give the national government complete power over the organization and capitalization of all business concerns engaged in interstate commerce." That's a little scary, if you ask me. But anyway, so in 1903, under President Theodore Roosevelt, the Department of what and what was created. But you have to say the full thing. So the Department of blank and blank was created. What is Cuba? Oh wait, what's your... No, your username is getting you blocked. Alright. So, the answer was, I don't even know, the Department of Commerce and Labor. So now they can regulate our commerce, what we buy, what we sell, where we work, how long we work, how much we get paid. Just saying. Hey Bree, how are you? All right, during President Woodrow Wilson's administration, the Federal Trade Commission Act of 1914 empowered the Federal Trade Commission to assist in the federal government's crusade, good morning, against big business. The FTC regulated large corporations by issuing cease and desist orders to end unfair trade practices. This once again gave way to corruption and put unelected members of the federal government in a position to pick winners and losers in the market. Together, Roosevelt and Wilson were attempting to gain complete control over the private sector of the economy. So, what year was the Federal Trade Commission Act of blank put into effect? What was the year? If you know what era we're in, it should make it a little bit easier. And I just said it. Yes, Periscope Heckle, you're going to win the body butter, my friend. 3 points for you now. You are winning. It was 1914. 1914. Good. The Interstate Commerce Act of 1887 was amended and enhanced through the Hepburn Act in 1906 and the Mann-Elkins Act in 1910. The Hepburn Act gave the Interstate Commerce Commission, or ICC, the power to set maximum rates for railroads and extended the agency's authority to cover bridges, terminals, ferries, sleeping cars, express companies, and oil pipelines. The Mann-Elkins Act strengthened the ICC's authority over railroad rates and expanded its jurisdiction to include regulation of telephone, telegraph, and cable companies. So what does ICC stand for? What does ICC stand for? That's why I'm giving you all the answers up front. So you don't have to be politically smart. Yes! You got it! Aculize, it's Interstate Commerce Commission. Yes! So good. You were really close, Heckle. You said international, but it's interstate. Interstate. So now you have 2 points, Aculives. You are in second place with 2 points. All right. Next paragraph says, Roosevelt had no problem manipulating Congress into submitting to his will. In a law review article, Stanford Law School professor Robert L. Rabin explains, quote, "It took vigorous intervention by Roosevelt to prevent Congress from including a judicial review provision that would have explicitly vested final authority over rates in the courts. Roosevelt was power hungry, especially in regard to regulating the economy. Similarly, in 1916, Woodrow Wilson begged Congress to reorganize and enlarge the power of the ICC for purposes of, quote, regulation, prevention, and administrative efficiency." What question do I want to ask? Go Trump. All right, well, why don't I give you the easiest one to answer, which is the last thing that I said. So, Woodrow Wilson begged Congress to reorganize and enlarge the power of the ICC for purposes of, quote, regulation, prevention, and what? 2 words. Pot. It's one of those, like, made-up things, I think. He said administrative efficiency. But my personal belief is that when you try to regulate something, the more you try to regulate it, the less efficient it can be. I thought that was kind of a weird word. Administrative efficiency. That's the reason you need complete control over all interstate commerce, because you're going to help us be more efficient in our administration. Cool. Thanks, Roosevelt. Thanks, Teddy. These efforts, this is a short one, so this one should be a little easier. These efforts represent Roosevelt's attempt to gain control over the railroad industry. However, according to Frostburg State University professor William L. Anderson, instead of independently regulating the railroads, the ICC, which was staffed by people with ties to rail companies, worked hand in glove with the entities it was supposed to be overseeing. And we see that today all the time. All the time. It's lobbyists, big corporations, oligarchy, aristocracy. I mean, I don't know. There's so many ways we could go about as we talk about this. Yeah, corrupt, pot fields. All right. So, what industry was Theodore Roosevelt attempting to gain control over in this paragraph? What industry are we talking about right now? Yep, railroad industry. Oh, now you're tied for first place, AccuLive. So now there's AccuLives and Periscope Heckle. Both have 3 points, and now they're tied for first place. And then we also have Jerkface and Sull on the board with 1 point. All right, last paragraph of this part. The results of Roosevelt's actions were higher prices, poor service, lost profits, and diminished competition. So, you say you're going to regulate these companies, and then they become a monopoly. Kind of weird. The results of Roosevelt's... Oh, wait, I already read that. Clearly, these types of regulations were enacted not to protect the consumer, but to allow the federal government to take control of the free market. This was the beginning of a system of corrupt agencies that only benefited people with political ties. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, this is going to be a potential for 4 points in this question. If you can list any of these, and you can list them separately, you'll be more likely to get the point. Free market also creates monopolies. Well, I think the key quote should be around free, because when did the free market create monopolies? Clinton. All right, this person's just saying random words. All right, so the results of Roosevelt's actions by taking control of the railroad industry were what 4 negative effects? What were the 4 negative effects I said? I said boop, 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 and doop. And then I gave my own little opinion about it. Let's see if you guys can remember them. Or you can just guess what you think bad effects would be of regulation. Yep, higher prices, that's 1. Jerkface gets the point. Pot? No, you don't get pot. Poor service, yep, 3. This is probably painful for you to say. Yep, less competition. And that's AccuLives. There was one more. What was the other one? Oh, yeah. So you guys actually got 3 out of 4. That was good. We're getting warmed up, aren't we? Hey, Brennan, good morning. So the one that we didn't get was loss of profits. So decrease in profits. I was just going to say, though, Chris, it's probably painful for you to type that out because you probably don't agree with it. So good work. You still got 2 points out of it. Now you have 3 points, and you're tied in second place with Periscope Heckle. And AccuLives, you are now in first place again with 4 points. All right. This one is a quote. All right. I don't think anyone's going to know this, but I like to do this, so I'm just going to read the quote, and then you can guess who said it. I don't know if anyone's going to know who this is, but maybe you went to law school and you heard this. Got to get that body butter. Exactly. Exactly. All right, so the title of this next section is called An Excess of Agencies. You're number 1? Okay. Here's the quote. Pick an issue, any issue, no matter how small or insignificant, and poof, our American progressive government creates ex nihilo Nilo. Another government ancillary to appease the sheeple's concern that something is being done to address it. I'll read it one more time and then give 10 seconds. Pick an issue, any issue, no matter how small or insignificant, and poof, not Ben Franklin. Our American progressive government creates ex nihilo, another government. You Googled it? Well, Google it because you didn't say the answer. Another government ancillary to appease the sheeple's concern that something is being done to address it. You can Google it, you guys. I don't care. You gotta say his full name, though. No. I've never heard of this guy, you guys. He's not a big name like that. But some of these, like the last quote was from Ron Paul, so sometimes you will be able to get it. This one was Ron Shirts, not Sam Adams. Ron Shirts, S-H-I-R-T-Z. And we'll go on to the next paragraph. This one's kind of long, so get ready for it. The progressive era, why is my neck so long? Because I stretch it. I put those rings, in Africa, and do that. All right. The progressive era also saw a rise in administrative agencies. The use of the word sheeple was great. Yes, it was. That were used to carry out all of these new regulations. Some of the agencies established during this time period include, in addition to the Food and Drug Administration, a product of the scheming of Roosevelt and Harvey Washington Wiley, the Interstate Commerce Commission, the National Civic Federation, which was an early version of the FBI, Federal Bureau of Investigation, the Federal Trade Commission, and the Internal Revenue Service. Okay, so let's see how many there were. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this question has the potential for 5 points, and it could go to 5 different people. It could go to some of the same people. So what I recommend is you put your answers on separate lines. Don't try to put all 5 in one line, because then you'll be less likely to get any points, because everyone will say stuff before you. So make sure you put them on all the lines. I doubt we're going to get all 5. But what were the 5 agencies that I just went over that were all they were all created during this progressive era? But it's got to be one of the 5s I just said. FTC. Yep, FTC, Federal Trade Commission, 1 point for Jerkface. Federal Trade Commission's already been said. IRS, you got that one too, Jerkface. Now you're winning, 5 points. Okay, so I'm not going to take FBI because it was called something different at the time. It was an early version of the FBI. Nope, not CIA. Not OSS, not Trump. Nope, we already went over those ones. So there's 2 left, I believe. Or no, 3 left. There's still 3 left. Jerkface got 2. He got IRS and FTC. What are the other ones? We talked about one of them already here, and one is still around today. It's a very, very common one if you want to just start guessing ones. Not agricultural. Yep, FDA. Chris, good guess. You got it. You got one. Chris 14 on the board with a point. Okay, so Chris got FDA. What did I do? Put my pen in my book. Chris is on the board with a point. Yeah. Oh, AccuLives. I'm going to give that to you. I'm going to give you that, even though I was done counting. ICC. Yes. Interstate Commerce Commission. That was the one that we talked about earlier. And the one that we didn't get was the early version of the FBI, which is called the National Civic Federation. It was called the National Civic Federation. That was the early version of the FBI. I thought that was kind of interesting. I didn't know that. Moving on. Theodore Roosevelt and Woodrow Wilson were the driving forces behind many of these agencies. In addition to the Food and Drug Administration, Roosevelt expanded the power of the ICC. You work for the FBI, I don't believe you. And wait. Expanded the power of the ICC. Oh, and was the, oh God, it's that word. It's this word you guys all tried to teach me how to say last time. I don't know. Was the impetus Behind the creation of the FBI, Wilson created the Federal Trade Commission in 1914 and necessitated the use of the IRS after the enactment of the 16th Amendment during his administration in 1913. Oh, I'm trying to say it right, trust me. So, Wilson created the Federal Trade Commission in what year? What year was the Federal Trade Commission created? I might have already asked this question. Oh well. Yeah, 1914. I think it was the same year something else was started too. Yep, Jerkface got it first. The answer was 1914. Guesses are pretty close though. 1913 was very close. All right. These administrative agencies, along with countless others, were the product of a political climate that was receptive to a variety of particularized complaints that the market needed to be policed with greater vigor. Today, the government has major departments and more than 450 supporting and independent agencies. These same federal agencies regulate every aspect of our lives. So, today the government has major departments and more than, I almost said the answer, more than blank supporting and independent agencies. So, how many? Yes, exactly. Jerkface knew what I was going to ask. 450. Yeah, so Chris and Soul, you also got the correct answer, but you didn't get it fast enough. So Jerkface gets the point. He's now winning with 7 points, and second place is AccuLives with 5 points. So you better make sure that you guys win this because he made this body better. You can't let him win it. We can't let him win, guys. We can't let him win. Sorry, Chris. All right. Let me just see how long. Oh, this one's a really long one, so get ready. Get your listening ears on. The agencies created during the Progressive era have a long history of corruption and connections with big business and even criminals. Oh, Jay Sudley, we've been going probably about... Oh, my computer turned off. I don't know how long. Oh, here we go. Yeah, just about a half hour. Can somebody say something? I think I might need to refresh my egg drop. He shouldn't be competing. Refresh. Well, the reason that he made this for us was that so we would play more trivia games. So that was his whole reason for sending it, so it makes sense that he would play. Makes sense. And then if he does win, maybe he won't want it and we can play a whole nother game. But if he does want it, I don't care. I'll send it to him. I should do this with Saving Capitalism. I know, I was thinking I should do this with a bunch of books. Probably books that people find more interesting because people are not sticking around for this one. But I don't really care. Because I had a rough morning. I'm going to do what I want. Which is basically just read this book. Title of the current book is Theodore and Woodrow, How Two American Presidents Destroyed the Constitution. Oh, Alex?